Empower 11, the best of its kind in a highly transformative time. Are you empowered? Ready to turn your life up to 11? Awaken the life of who you are on the inside to match the life you were meant to live on the outside. Empower 11. Now is your time.
Power 11 Radio. Greetings and welcome to Empower 11 Radio. This is the live 1-hour show that we do every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. However, I am in Michigan, so it is 2 o'clock. For more information about the Empower 11 program and everything that Empower 11 is about, go to empower11.com. That is empower, the number 11.com. And you check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/empower11. And we are, again, right here on Spreaker, live every Wednesday. You can download the Spreaker app on your smartphone, whether it be an iPhone or an Android. The Spreaker app is free, so be sure and check that out. And then you can always listen to our podcasted shows. They're up within a couple hours after we do our live show on iTunes. You can listen to them for free. And speaking of iTunes, check out our Empower Wealth album. It is available for download on iTunes, and also you can get it download or physical on Amazon.com, so check that out. And we always dig that feedback, and be sure and shout out to us at info@empower11.com. Today is August 15th. It is 2012. I am Jack Voorhees. I'm coming to you from Higgins Lake, Michigan, where it is a beautiful, gorgeous, sunny day, and the water is calm and cool and beautiful. And I am joined via Skype by my co-host, the beautiful and talented creative partner of mine, Ann Ribley, is in Santa Barbara. Hello, Ann.
Hello, Jack. My partner that I'm missing here in our Power 11 studio on this beautiful day. It's actually 11 here. I know it's 2 where you're at, and it's beautiful and sunny, and missing that warm, fun, generous, brilliant energy that I always get to share this space with you with. So, but next week you'll be here.
Yes.
So I'm excited.
Yes, I look forward to that. Getting this whole hookup via Skype and everything had some technical stuff going on, getting set up. But it all came together right at the end, and hopefully the recording is doing, is coming out well, and that people are able to hear us and our message clearly. So, Ann, yes, I miss you very much, and can't wait to be with you soon. I'll be back on Monday. And how are things with Ann?
Things are fabulous, Jack. I'm excited. I've done some really cool things, and I actually posted it on Facebook, and the response was really heartwarming. I spent on Sunday watching Oprah's Super Soul Sunday. That whole time watching that, I spent it doing a vision fold out. And I did it a little bit different as more of a journey. And what I did is I did this vision fold out in a way that it was, I took images and words and I put together where my life is today, more on an inside level. And then I journeyed through this vision fold out, almost like a storybook, before I even got to any kind of material manifestations where I am today, where I want to go, what I want to share with the world. And it was so powerful doing this. Something really clarifying in the choices of where my life is today really started to embody in me. I mean, I could feel this energy transferring, this super sharp clarity started happening in me. And so the next morning, I stayed up late doing it. And the next morning I shared it with my 12-year-old, CJ. And when I took him through the journey of this vision fold out, he started crying when I got to the end. And it was because it was so real and authentic. And so I'm excited about today's episode, talking about the clarity of our choices, because that really had this clarifying effect and result inside of me. And I know that's what the Empower 11 is about. It's about that oneness on the inside, getting it congruent with the life we want to live on the outside. And I feel like that exercise just is so on par with today's topic, which is getting into that clarity of our choices.
So many people have done, including I, have done the vision boards, with the whole secret thing and making a vision board. But I found like the thing with that is, people just put a bunch of shiny objects on this board. And the deal is, that you can really supercharge, I believe, these manifestations when they are things that you put on there about your journey, or things that you can have or could use to help fulfill your purpose. And I think those are much more likely to manifest. And I think it's interesting. I can't wait to see yours, that takes you on a journey. And I'd like to see how that is played out. And are you going to share that, or is this something private, or what are you going to do with it?
Well, I did make it for myself. I am excited to share it with you, Jack, because it's very personal. So it's, as of right now, I feel like, it was so moving to my son because it was very personal. It was truly powerful and authentic to where my life is today and the journey. And it's a composite of where I am today is also a result of where I've come from. And the treasures of our past, as painful, as hard sometimes as they may be to cross, those treasures that define us become those triumphant pieces that make us who we are today on this journey. So I think that's why it was so emotional to him, because it was like I started out with where I am today and what I want to become more within myself and out and share into the world. And then I took it through the processes of from that kind of general stance of my purpose, of who I am, and then I moved to like more my body, mind, and spirit, like where I am in that place, and then where I want to take it next. And then the final phase was more of like how this would be represented in my outside world. And it did include some material manifestations as a result of that. But that was more of when you go through the journey, the end. And so right now I know the value of the energy of it. It's more of a personal experience and share that I have right now. So okay. We'll see. I don't know. Right now it's more personal to me. I'm still kind of soaking in the energy of it. And I smile. And that's what I found out the other night is that's when I texted you, Jack, and I said, I'm so excited to share this with you because part of this journey that has merged with all the growth and changes I've had included this amazing love that I get to share with you. And it's a much fuller and richer life that I have doing this journey with you. Awesome.
Well, I've used this time to kind of get out of my normal situation, or I don't know, I should say normal. I've been, since we've gotten together and been traveling all over the world with you and doing all kinds of amazing things. But getting back to Higgins Lake, it has this kind of a special place because I've been coming up here all my life, and it's been like a really glorious place. It's my son used to call it, instead of Higgins Lake, he used to call it Heaven's Lake. And
So
it's a really cool place to be. You know, it was very beautiful and everything. And I've used this opportunity to really get into more of a meditative state, and the water is very calming. And walking out on the dock and having my morning coffee out there and stuff has been really, really good for me. I know that I've been in a place where you and I have many projects going on all the time, and we're doing many things that inspire us. And I'm working on different various projects, and one project that's really been on my mind lately is it's funny how it's like sometimes it seems farther away, and other times it seems very close, and kind of going through this process, and this getting away thing allowed me to step back and look at things and say, hey, I need to really enjoy this process, enjoy the journey of this, because that comes out in the project. When you bring your love and your passion to something, I mean, that is very high vibrational. And I need to make sure that I stay in that state. And there's also a ease and flow of like not trying to force, but just allowing it to flow, not pushing so hard, just being in that place of allowing and knowing that the universe is supportive. And if it's something that is really in truth, that the energy will conspire in my favor.
Ooh, I like that, conspire, because it's funny. I've been thinking of all these C words that are like clarity of our choices, and what does that mean? And it's like the idea of being like the creator, and when you talk about you not having to force this project, and to me it's like channeling it and getting in. And I was thinking like what we love like becomes our choices, and where we put our attention to what we love becomes our lives. And that's the more we can get in tune to the truth of it, it's a come closer energy. And that's where we don't have to force. We can pull it into us.
Right.
So I love that when you say about it just becomes more this conspiring energy. And when we think about the creator and being more in this godlike divine space, it's a come closer energy. It's not, it pulls naturally in. And we have our passions that we are really from this truthful place. The world does start to conspire in this come closer energy. It's an inviting energy. It's a warm energy, and we don't have to push and fight so hard, because that pushes us further away from that place of truth. So I think it's great, Jack. I do think you being up at Higgins Lake and just kind of, I think changing up things is good for people. It really helps us find a new sense of balance in ourselves and stuff. And it's been good for me working on my vision fold out, and it's going to be great coming together and sharing these new awarenesses. And
right. So today's show is the title of today's show is Clarity of Our Choices. And what does that mean to you? I mean, what do you mean by the clarity of our choices?
Well, I think the clarity of our choices is that we're getting into this energy where we're aware of how we're choosing our lives. And I think so many people get caught up in feeling like this life that they're answering to or that they're living has already been defined for them based on what yesterday was, and engaging in this place where I am really a firm believer in anything we want to change in our life, you got to bring it in close. I think it's this avoidance, this denial, this place where we hold it way out there. What is the truth? What is the place of what's going on in our lives, what are the choices we're making. I think we can get caught into these default choices where we don't really realize how we are the person that's engaging them when we have it way out there. And when it's a come closer energy to me. The clarity of our choices is about realizing that is our divine will of God, the Creator, put in us, is this ability to make our choices.
Yeah, I think that there's many incidences of people like feeling like they've been born into a certain way. You know, dad was a lawyer, my uncle's a lawyer, so I'm going to be a lawyer. Or, you know, we're a long generation of police officers and I'm going to be a police officer too. And that is, that's fine if that is the truth of what you're really here for, the real truth of how you came into the world with the gifts that you have. Are you using them to the fullest advantage? Because this is a gift, and we can design our lives to be in tune with that, or we can go along with however we feel. I mean, if we don't feel empowered and we feel like our destiny is predetermined, then, you know, we can just kind of get in line and go through the motions, but that really isn't getting out ahead of your life. That's just following. And the only thing that you really need to follow is the truth of who you are.
Well, I'd like to take like what you're saying, Jack, and then just bring it in closer again and like now take the broadness of it, which is truth, and bring it into now what are these default places that maybe we're living in because that's what we know, that's what was done before, that was the environment we've been around, that's the way we've been raised. Whatever it is, let's break it down in like ways. This has been my new reflection that I've been really returning back to what is my truth in my life, from how I want my relationships to be in my life, not based on how I've learned relationships to be and somehow that's just sort of the way by default. What's my relationship with money? What's my financial relationship with, this really became clear to me when we began in Power 11 and we were doing the ownership coursework. And I really got, real and truthful on this place that, for me, I was raised in an environment where there was more than enough and our needs were taken care of. But with that money came stress. There was stress and juggle. And so somehow that place of this is the way a defaulted relationship was, that's all I knew, that's what I grew up in, was just the way I feel my life went. And it's been interesting as I've gotten into this really strong clarity of, wait a minute, it can be my choice with clarity, this relationship that I want to have with money and with finances, and not have it be some default thing that this has just been something I've been peeling back the layers through time, especially in my most recent big transformation, which has been in the last 5 years. I feel like I've been through a lot of transformation in my life. I was run over by a lawnmower when I was 2, and there's a lot of choice that I've had to make, and clarity of choices of acceptance and really owning, that I'm more than my body and really creating high functionality with my body. But I would have to say that that was things that life presented to me, and I feel like I had to that was in order for me to really empower myself, I had to accept it and I had to make choices according to that. In this most recent transformation that took place, which was, getting divorced after 18 years and selling businesses that I had for over 18 years that were not empowering me and that were not places that were true to my path. When I had to make those choices, that I feel like I had to really muster up a lot more inside of me because I had to engage now strongly. It wasn't like life handing it to me and me having to make a choice to it. It was now me having to engage that choice to my life. And I feel like that took some deep, deep work inside of me, but it also brought me to a place of truth. And I found, like, recently, when we talk about these lives, whether it's our purpose in our career, even our love lives and our intimate life, and even how we want our body to be. It's interesting. I'm going through physical therapy right now, and the physical, because of my recent new leg that I have, and learning how to have a new high level function that's even better than what I'm at right now. I was talking to this my physical therapist, and she specializes in sports physical therapy. So she's helping me get this functionality at the level I want. And it was interesting. Her and I were talking yesterday, and she was saying people look at her, they see her body, which is very fit, and they think, oh, it must be so easy for you. And she's like, no, I really chose this. She goes, because I saw my mom struggle with her weight.
Right.
And I decided that was not going to be my story. And when she was saying that to me yesterday, I'm like, that's the same thing I have said through my life. So I feel like, whether it's our body and how we take care of our body, the way we eat, the way we are with our money, the way we are with our purpose, the way we are with our love, the way we are with our mind, our emotions. I mean, some people even think that, well, I was just born angry, so I'm going to be angry. I mean, it's so many different components to this place of our clarity of our choices.
Right. Yeah. When I was 9 years old, I moved back to Michigan. In Michigan, we live, or in New Mexico is where we lived before, and I lived on different hippie communes, and we moved all over and stuff. But when I got to Michigan, my grandfather took me into his company, and he walked me all around, and he looked at me dead in the eyes, and he said, "Someday, Jack, this will all be yours."
Wow.
And I believed him. And, I believe that, not only him, but I believe that was truth. And that was the truth for me. And that's what I was supposed to be. And that was what my destiny was supposed to be. And that was how it was supposed to happen. And the thing is, everything I did, was kind of gearing up towards that. That was my clear vision that was what life was going to be for me. And as time went on, and I got the opportunity for that to happen, I really shined when I was put in that position. When I was when we both owned it together, and I had a plan. We had a plan for me buying him out and taking over, and then my grandfather changed his mind, and it devastated me. I was so lost after all those years of this was going to be my way, this was going to be my way, this was going to be my way. But, the thing is, I never chose that. It wasn't a choice. It was just handed to me, and that this was truth, and I just kind of accepted that, okay, it's truth. But the deal is, it wasn't really my truth. If I was really supposed to be there, I would be there. I'm on a journey, and I'm going where the journey takes me. And I still have many more questions than answers, but the deal is I'm getting more in tune and more in truth, and I'm making decisions that feel in tune with the person that I am.
Yeah, that's when life has bigger plans for us. And, you have these sort of hiccups along the way is what I call it. Like, life does a hiccup where you think it's going to be this way, and then there's this hiccup where it's like you say your grandfather just changed his mind. It has no rhyme or reason to it, but it's this hiccup in life. And it's like, it's really, a hiccup is like when we get out of sync. It's like a way that, it's not that we're out of sync, but it's a way to get us in sync with what's really meant for our lives. And
well, it didn't feel like a hiccup. It felt like a car crash or something. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. I really do. So this takes, to really get this clarity, it takes the willingness to ask yourself tough questions, and these questions they have to go deeper. They not just on the surface layer. I mean, not just all icing, but it has to be cake down to the core of who you are, and getting to that really truthful place of, hey, I have this in me. Once we discover what we have in us, and we start to get some knowing of that, I mean, it just bursts to get out, and we have to do what we need to do in order to get that to happen. Whatever it takes.
Yeah, whatever it takes, because what happens is then when we go steadfast in the clarity of our choices, because we know it's truth for us, and life will begin to conspire. I'm a true believer in that. That's been my experience, is that we can do things from the mind that seem like they make all the sense, but somehow we're not in alignment with the truth of ourselves because we're trying to get a false sense of security of our orientation with the world. And our truest orientation with the world is the soul and the creation of who we are and what we're here to do. And when we get into that power place, that's the Empower 11 stance, which is the oneness on the inside. The world begins, you get the quantum field to begin to, which is the world and every energy all around us, it's all there, begins to get into harmony and vibrational harmony and begins to conspire. And, I'm one of the transforming mantras that I came up with when I started shifting, because you got to start getting comfortable with the unknown when you really get into that place, was that which supports me boldly steps forward, and that which doesn't gracefully steps down. And when you know that you're doing something that's in truth for you, and you're making choices from that real pure place of clarity, and it's not some compensating place to try to make you feel better and okay for the moment, and it's that true place, that which supports you will boldly step forward, and that which doesn't will gracefully step down. And I have to tell you, I mean, it even occurred in my marriage. I got into this place where I just knew what love was supposed to feel like, and I didn't attach it to it had to come from this way, from at that time who I was married to something outside of there. I just got into this place that I was not going to compromise that choice of what love is supposed to feel like. So whenever this dynamic that I had previous when in my marriage, as it wasn't working, would come up, I would just say, I'm not going there. That's not a path I travel down anymore. And I got so clear in it that I didn't make it about who I was married to at that time. But what happened that my marriage configuration started to have what was called a graceful step down. And I feel like when we come from that place of truth, that is what is supportive to us, will boldly step forward. And so many times when things aren't coming out the way we want it to, and things are gracefully stepping down, we go back to try to grab it and hold on to it, and we keep ourselves in these standstill places versus allowing the clarity of our choices to conspire and lead us and channel us down the path that's strong, powerful, and in that Empower 11, we're not living a life at 5, 6, 7, 8. We're getting up to 11.
Yeah, and the danger of that people can run into is when they start to get some clarity. If they found that, hey, I've been living or I've been on a path that isn't in tune with who I am and doesn't line up with who I am, and then they start to do this change, you have to really be willing to do whatever it takes, because if you're not, then it's easy to go backwards, because you might find, this change could have some real challenges attached to it. And, it can be, it can seem like, well, okay, this isn't working. I need to go back to doing whatever somebody else's plan is, or just doing something that just seems easier. But the thing is, it really isn't. It will take its toll. And you see so many people living these lives that are out of tune, and then they have to, resort to other things like, medication or, drugs and alcohol and or what have you. I mean, they start doing behaviors that may make them...
Behaviors to compensate for what is not true and the compromise they've done to themselves.
Right. So, the danger is, you can end up on the wrong path, and that is not honoring this gift of life. And the real tragedy is that you could end up never living your intended life. The never get to present the jewels of who you are to the world. When I look at people, when I look at a graveyard, I see, I wonder if everybody lived their life of passion, and if every one of those people in there, like, you just got in a place where they were giving the best of who they were to the world, I mean, it would change the world. One person can change the world. Imagine if a bunch of people are living in this life that is of pure beauty of who they are and the gifts they have to give to the world, what the world would be.
Yeah, I look at, like, how, when you get to this truth, and I really believe it's already sitting in our hearts, of what life is supposed to feel like and what love is supposed to feel like. When you look at, like, a flower or a tree, I mean, it's just unfolding to what it's supposed to be. I mean, Jack, you said something really beautiful to me the other day, and I was sharing that yesterday when I went to the beach with my sister, how you said that, and you're like, I want only the best for you, Anne, with unfolding who you are, because I see you like a flower, and I want all the petals and openness of everything you have to give to just open up fully to the world. And it's like, that's the gift we all have to begin by giving it to ourselves, and to be with a partner who feels that way for me and that supportiveness to myself. That is true to what I felt in my heart. I knew love should feel like that. It should feel so in union and so in support. And what I had to do is I had to be honest to that place and honoring that place. And I didn't attach it to who I was married to, saying, oh, you're not this or you are this. I started to surrender all of that. And I started to say, in that place, that this is what's true to my heart. This is how love should feel. This is how my life should feel, even with my career and the way the way everything was going. And I really feel like God, the creator, the divine, that energy that conspires to support us. I truly feel when we start tuning into what's true to our heart, those life events that are a match to it begin to line up. And I believe they're waiting there for us. And all we got to do is start opening the doors to each of them. I love how you say that, Jack, how it's just, you just keep opening another door, another door. And that's how you open up to life.
Just open the doors and let it in. Just let, I'm just, I am just so touched and so grateful that I have such a beautiful, supportive partner in love and in all the aspects of our lives. And I'm just, it took whatever it took to get here, but I'm just so glad we're at this point now where we can give each other the special gifts that of support and love and all we have to give to each other. It's really awesome. Okay, so we need to pause for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're gonna go over the how. So how do you really get in a place where you have clarity in your choices? How did you great decision making and make sure that things line up with the truth of who you are and the life that you are intended to live? and in your place of passion. And we're also going to end the show with a inspirational audio from Anne. So we will be right back after this commercial break. And we are back. And so do you have any, you want to start us off on some of our how-tos?
Well, I'm always a fan of meditation. I feel like we are just at a time where it's becoming more commonplace in our conversations, but it's one of the most ancient tools. I do believe our life is meant to be a living meditation, and meditation is more of a form of listening and stillness. And, I think it's commonplace that people know about prayer, and prayer, it seems to be more of that conversation with God. And I think meditation is that powerful place that we can get into where we are more still and we're more listening and we're more open, instead of it being such an outgoing energy and such a request type style energy, but it's more of an open receiving energy. Meditation is of that stillness. It's that place that we can create some separation. A lot of times people think they're their thoughts, and the thoughts can just get really firing up and running down the same tracks over and over again. And we can become so attached and a part of that whole experience, like a runaway train, that we are no longer the conductor to this train and deciding the path that it's on. And meditation starts to give that space and that stillness. And that's why I'm, excited about the different meditations that we are developing and that I have written already and that are coming out through iTunes. The current one we have out is the Empower Wealth, which deals specifically with how to get into more meditative state and reorientating ourselves with wealth. I think when we get into this place, that's where real courage begins to emerge.
Yes,
and I love,
courage.
Jack, how you say, the higher power has your back. And I think that comes from when we're in that real place of courage in our life.
Yes, it does. It can take real courage when, I always say that, a lot of the times people say what they admire about me is that I go my own way. I beat to my own drum, and I don't just go along with what others are doing until it gets in the way of their own agenda. Then they really don't like it. They're like, "What do you mean you won't do this?" So it's courage. It's courage to stand up for your life. It's to say, I count, I matter, I'm important, I have real value to offer, and this ain't it. Whatever I've been doing, I need to make the decision that I am going to change. But it's almost more than a decision. It's like a declaration of change. And no more am I willing to do things the way I have been. And I am going to get into this place, this finest place of myself.
Yeah, I look at it like it's the difference of, not living so combatively in our lives. It's like, okay, so here we are today, and it's like, what's the change we're looking to do? What are the choices are we doing? Are we trying to get from something, or are we going for something? And that for something should be our dreams, our loves, our hopes, our truest place in our heart. So it's like, how do you get clarity of your choices? It's like you could just ask yourself that simple question. You could say, am I trying to get from something right now in this choice? Mm-hmm. Or am I trying to get for something?
Yeah, I like what you're saying about asking, and it's not only asking yourself, but it's asking for support. It's asking for answers to be provided when we're uncertain about what we should be doing and our true kind of calling. It's like it's okay. It's being okay with that, and it's also being okay with asking for help. I want answers. Provide me with the answers. And when a lot of times, I think when going back to the meditation, when you get silent enough, the answers start creeping in, and it's also just having your eyes open in looking for those answers to start showing up in your life, and absolutely they will start showing up. Little hints and stuff, sometimes not so little, sometimes they can slap you over the face, and that's like can cause a great awakening. But sometimes they're subtle, and we have to be, we have to have our ears and our eyes open to what they are, and most importantly, our hearts.
Yeah, that's that whole, the wealth mantra meditation, that one meditation I do have out about wealth. It is about getting to this place where we're opening up our ears, our eyes, our hearts into this place where we start to see, hear, and feel wealth all around us through the conversations, through all these different sources of the world. It's retapping into this in-tune receivership in our lives. So it's like, I totally get what you're saying, Jack, because it is this place that we're opening our eyes, we're opening our ears, we're becoming alive in our senses to sense life in a true way, and not being so obsessed in our mind that we're dull to what is happening around us in our life, so that we can't have that same clarity in our choices.
It's funny when I talk to people and they say they seem to stumble upon into this thing, like it just kind of coincidentally happened, but the thing is that actually they got into a place that was in a real truth and a real tune with them, and then all of a sudden these things started showing up. When they can believe that these things totally happened by random, by accident, but the truth is that it happened because they got into a divine place within themselves, and then the answers just start showing up, and the supportive things just start showing up, and they just end up, meeting the right people at the right time. Things show up, opportunities show up. All this supportive stuff just starts happening and starts coming out of all these different places, and it can happen. It can happen for all of us, and when we get into that great place, and when we become unwilling to say, "Hey, I will not accept living a life that is less than who I am. I'm going to step up. I'm going to start living my life on 11. I'm not going to, I don't believe that I have to go down these paths of sacrifice, because it's not really sacrifice when we're doing what we love." When we were talking yesterday, Ann, about a girl who said that she was, if she had all the money in the world, she would be a marine photographer because she really likes that. But there's not that much money in it, so she would have to
pick a different career that would guarantee her money. That's kind of where she's at right now, and she's young and she's got her whole life ahead of her. And it's like, it's crazy to think that she feels like she has to pick a default plan because she doesn't know the answers to that other plan of what her love would be.
Right, and when we're doing what not only we love, but what we're inspired to do and what we're here for, then what we need shows up when we need it. And the deal is, I mean, what is it to be wealthy anyway? It's not always necessarily, that she has to drive a Ferrari to the marine biology lab. I mean, it's you can be a very wealthy person and drive a Saturn there. I mean,
well, I feel like when we were talking about this yesterday, Jack, I was saying that I feel like when we get into this, see, that's that place where people get themselves all mixed up because they want to follow their loves and their passion, and it's not worked out in their mind in a way that it could be, monetized in a way to support the life they want to live. And so this whole disruption of energy flow starts to happen of feeling like, well, and then I'd have to sacrifice my standard of living and stuff like that, where I truly feel that if it is in truth and it is your passion, that wealth and abundance really show up in a very rich life for us in ways that we can't plan it in our minds. And Mother Teresa is the perfect example, and that's what I was telling you yesterday when we were having this discussion, is because she was a nun, and it feels like nuns should live a very bare, simple life. But she was so in truth to her path that she has been one of the richest women that we have seen in our lifetime. She needed a surgery. Every hospital in the world would be open to give it to her. Every doctor would lovingly open up their gifts and their skills to be the surgeon to provide it for her. I mean, there was anywhere Mother Teresa walked, she was embraced with a very wealthy life. And that's because she was so in tune. So she didn't use that as, there's just so many other details, use that standard of not having a wealthy life because she was choosing to pick something that would not necessarily bring material success. But in return, she had everything taken care of in such a wealthy way in her life. And so I feel like we all have that same potentiality when we don't get hung up in the mind with how the details have to fall in place way ahead of its time.
Right. So let's talk about what we need to back up these choices, and I really believe that there's action behind the choices. It's not just that we make a choice or decision and then everything starts opening up to us. It's like, how do we show up? How are we backing up our choices on a daily basis? I mean, what are the little things that we do daily in order to get to, really give our choices and our decisions the power that it takes in order for them to become our realities?
Well, I think even our inaction is a choice, and it's taking ownership of that and really being clear that what I was talking about earlier is that what we love becomes our choices. If we love our cookies more than we love a fit body, that becomes our choice and that becomes our lives. And it's like, I know for me, it seems like I skimp a lot and don't take a lot of the indulgence of desserts and stuff, and I don't deprive myself either. But I love a fit body more than I love those things. And it's like, I really, what I said earlier, our loves become our choices. Mm-hmm. And if our love is to sit here and watch TV more than it is to get up and do something about our lives, that will become our life. And I think that, when we talk about action backing up, we're doing action all day long, even if it's not effective.
Yeah, but the story is, though, that many people aren't really doing what they love. They don't really love just sitting there watching TV. It's just they've developed these things as kind of coping skills to deal with life, or to not deal with life.
Well, I still think that I agree with all of that. I still think that we're not in this really highly clarifying place to understand that we're making a choice right now, and we're just doing this by default. And so really the action, the clarity of choices, when we are truly engaging that high vibrational place at an empowered 11 state I'm talking about, I think actions follow as a natural progression. That's what I was going to say. I'm talking about natural progression, Jack, just backing up a second or a few seconds back to when you were talking about, really following the trueness of our path. This big project that you're working on right now, I mean, I feel like, and this is what I've been saying to you all along, I mean, I admire so much the trueness of this project and how much it's so, such an inside out, like, business project that you're getting ready to launch, because it's so inside of you and it's such a match to what you're taking out into the world that many people have come to you with business situations wanting you to do something, do this or do that, which you could have said yes to for the temporary gain of money or this and that, but it would have taken you out of this natural progression, which you didn't know you were going to land at where you are right now in this business enterprise that you're building. And it's like, I am just so in awe. I admire that, because I don't believe people give themselves the gift. They revert back to, when someone shows up and it all makes sense and this is what you need to do, but it's a compromise to themselves. Somehow they allow themselves to get talked into doing it. And I know in my life, from all the different businesses I had, even the way my marriage was, there was a lot of times I would get talked into doing things for that immediate moment, but it was compromised. And I think allowing ourselves that clarity to evolve into our own progression.
It's interesting that, the project that I'm working on right now, I'm accompanying things that I've experienced, little tools and things that I picked up from 25 years ago that I'm using today. It's all my experiences of the past coming into play in the now. And that's, I think, a natural progression of when you are in tune, when you're unwilling to compromise, you're not going to sacrifice your values of who you are in order to go in some direction that may seem like a quick fix, faster, easier kind of way. But when we hold true, that when we have the strength, when we have the clarity of the vision, and knowing that the choices we're making make sense, then I think we get rewarded. I think that the goods, the treasures come.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say that, because I see that right now, Jack, this business project that you're working on, you're just sitting with these handful of jewels that you get to share with the world shortly. And this came of, and I kept feeling this way before you actually landed on this place where you could name it and claim it, but you were discovering it. Mm-hmm. I kept saying to you, boy, you're just striking the match of who you are, and you're, I could see this progression happening with you, and it's just so exciting when you got to the place within inside where this business conglomerate that you're creating, you got to name it and claim it. And that's the way our lives need to work. Our clarity of choices, we can name it and claim it. Yeah. This life we want to live.
Well, I have a couple more things that I want to talk about. We're getting near the end of our show here, and we're going to play this inspirational audio. But a few things that I wanted to bring up about this was this decision making. Like, I've tried to stay away from emotionally based decision making because even though I want to make choices of things that impassion me, I want to make sure that I'm making very smart and wise decisions. And I've often used the Ben Franklin way of doing it, where I believe it's the Ben Franklin way, where you fold a piece of paper in half and you write the pros and cons down and really look at things objectively, when I put it down in black and white on paper, I can really, it really gives me an opportunity to take the emotional equation out of it, because I believe we can often convince ourselves that this is the right choice, even though we truly deep down know that it's just a short-term gain.
Wow, I mean, that's my thing about meditation, Jack. Just what you're talking about is that there's a lot of power in just giving that moment of space to something, and then, setting it down on paper like what you're saying, so that you can allow the truth of it to emerge.
Yeah. And the last thing, and maybe one of the most important things that I can say about our choices and our decision making is to encompass the word leverage. Because when we make these, what can we do today that's going to benefit us over and over on our way to getting to where our vision is taking us? From how am I exercising, the decisions and the choices I make, how I exercise. I like to exercise in the pool because it's a very leveraged workout. I'm getting outdoors. I'm, in water, which is high vibrational. I get in a meditative kind of state when I'm doing it, and it's low impact, kind of a really good quality kind of workout. And the same thing, you're always leveraging what you eat. You're thinking, how is this going to satisfy me now? How is this going to help me with, at first, how is it going to help me enjoy the moment of the actual eating of it? And then later, how is it going to give me energy and substance for the day?
Of that. I agree. I mean, we can change our health just by looking at health and what we're doing with it in more of a leveraged action. I totally agree with you, Jack.
So leverage. Always think about, what am I doing today and how is it going to benefit me ongoing? And I hear a phone ringing. And maybe this is a good time to play our audio. So, Ann, you want to introduce this audio?
Yeah, it's the Empower Flex, which is about getting into this open space so that we can have clarity of our choices, because you were designed to be ordinary. Please allow yourself to breathe in this moment in time and know that an extraordinary life waits for you, all in the clarity of your choices.
You have no ordinary body. You have no ordinary mind. You have no ordinary soul. You have a mind that can be infused of the all-giving power of God, the all-loving presence that penetrates inspiring thoughts. All transformation is a moment away. Your God is closer to you than your mind can ever understand. A rapid transformation can happen for the truly willing and open. Hold your dreams in the purest place to transform into reality, uncontaminated by the common thought, uncontaminated by the doubts of others to influence. You can hold it in a pure space and speak to that place in your mind. Reality will flex to meet it. You will inform whatever is your current state into a different reality. A reality that is built from that genuine place of power, that becomes magnanimous in its ability to respond, monumentous in its ability to support your destiny, the epic destiny you are called to live, not an insecure path that begs for validation by some outside authority to let you know you have arrived in your sweet spot of real power. It is a flex to empower, the highest calling of truth that you will learn to know, and it knows you. The most sacred place where you will be validated by your original knowing, in the spiritual endorsement that you are something extraordinary. And in this place of power invoked in you at the core of who you are sits the will of God. And the use of this will is the power of our highest freedom of transformation. It's the game of willingness. Willingness to become remarkable with your extraordinary destiny, ordained and encoded from your purest place of truth. The truth that comes from the highest authority, that transfers, imprints, inspires, and passes on to you your real authentication of your authentic life to live. In PowerFlex, remove the work out of the mind. Flex reality. Empower yourself.